aviators and my beloved mechanics. On today's video, it's going to be on the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board. Anything goes and somebody's full. I hope you enjoy this flight patch here, and for any donation amount, please email me, and I'd love to send this flight patch for your flight jacket, along with an autographed copy of this article. Now, this story starts off with being one of gibberish, of stupid, and of monsters that feed on corpses. I'd like to start off with kind of describing the National Transportation Safety Board, because as pilots and mechanics, most of us have little to no contact with them at all. And they are not the people that we think they are. We in our minds have it that they are professionals, competent, walking around with clipboards, keeping us safe from future accidents by discovering the truth of accidents and reporting accurately and fairly. Unfortunately, this is not what we have at all. What we have is mostly inspectors and investigators that make 100,000, 200,000 K a year and completely incompetent. When they show up on the scene of an accident, 9 times out of 10, they don't even know what they're looking at. What the normal function of an NTSB investigation is they go out into the aviation community and hire consultants, people building the engines, people working on the airframes, people doing the flying of the airplanes, and seek their advice to tell them what happened. Over the years, I have worked with several mechanics and several pilots that have worked with the NTSB to determine the cause of problems so that they can be addressed and fixed. This is the normal function of the NTSB, and I don't think most people realize that. Now, when they decide to falsify an accident report or put in something that isn't right, unfortunately, they can't go to these aviation professionals. First off, these aviation professionals are honest, and they will not put up with falsifying a report because they know if it comes back on them, their career is over. And these NTSB guys will just shrug their shoulder, go to lunch, and enjoy getting that $100,000 to $200,000 a year salary with no repercussions, no consequences. So when they do decide to falsify a report, it ends up being gibberish because they have only themselves to rely upon. This 2019 accident report in Hawaii is a good example of this. Now, on this report, there really is too much information for me to just put down in just one video, one article. Oh gosh, there's a lot. On this first one, on this video, it's just the defamation of a fallen aviator. The NTSB determined that Captain Jerome Rennick encountered an accelerated stall on takeoff because he was a reckless pilot, and this resulted in the loss of control of his airplane, and not only his death, but the death of 10 skydivers. This couldn't be anything farther from the truth, and the NTSB knew this right from the get-go. In the actual NTSB report, it shows that witnesses of the accident revealed that the aircraft went inverted and that they heard Captain Jerome Rennick feathering a propeller before impact. Then, when the NTSB went through the wreckage of the aircraft, when they came to the left propeller, they took it out, and here's a picture of it. And you have to look closely. I missed it first couple times. I just flat out missed it. I'm sorry, guys. But if you look at the propeller blades, they are feathered. And here you can see the red arrows pointing to where this propeller is feathered. Now, this propeller was then sent off to Hartzell Propellers in Piqua, Ohio. Upon receiving the propeller, in the NTSB report, they reflect that when they unpackaged it, the left propeller was completely feathered. One blade was completely feathered, the others were still moving to full feather. And then all of a sudden, in the next paragraph under Hartzell analysis, this is completely forgotten. And then in the Hartzell analysis, they say that the blade of the propeller was 0 degrees. Well, on a feathered propeller, the propeller blade angle is between 82 to 89 degrees. That's a feathered propeller. And I'd also like to point out that on the NTSB report, when they reported that the left propeller was received in the feathered condition, they wrote down the purpose of feathering, or what a feathered propeller is. That is the blade being turned into the angle of the airflow to reduce drag, so that propeller is not windmilling and causing drag. And they purposely left out that this is in case of an engine failure in flight. This is the whole purpose of having feathering propellers on multi-engine aircraft. So if you lose an engine, you can shut down, feather that propeller so it doesn't cause any drag. Then under Hartzell analysis, it goes into, all of a sudden, without any explanation, it just goes into how this propeller was not in the feathered position, how it was at a 22 to 23 degree angle, which is where the propeller is for full power. No explanation, no nothing, and just a bunch of gibberish and nothing that supports that this was the case. Now I know what you think, that, oh, this is Hartzell analysis, and it was Hartzell doing this, not the NTSB. That could not be further from the truth, my friends. When I read this report, it made no sense, although I hadn't read the report thoroughly enough, and neither did Les Dowd, the accident investigator at Hartzell Propeller. So when I contacted him the first time, he told me, hey, we had nothing to do with this report. We don't have a report on it. The NTSB personnel did this report on their own and just slapped Hartzell's name on it. So, of course, I wanted to interview him, and in my prior articles and videos, especially on Hartzell propellers, Teflon props, we don't stick by you. You can read all about that adventure of me going out to Piqua, Ohio, and talking to him. But when I talked to Les Dowd in person, of course, he recanted and advised that the whole report was personally written by him, and that he and Hartzell Propellers stand by that report. Well, unbeknownst to us, neither one of us realized that that propeller was feathered. We were assuming that it was still running and wasn't feathered. And once you know the facts that this propeller was feathered, this makes that whole argument that we had in Piqua, Ohio, and the whole analysis of Hartzell completely pointless and stupid. It doesn't fit. That propeller was feathered, it had no power in it, and that's the end of the story on that. There's no other conclusion. So right now, that's where we stand with that. We go further into the NTSB report, and to one of my favorite guys here, whoever wrote the paragraph about the left tachometer, he should be a legend in his own right. On here, he first off admits that the left tachometer, it was frozen at 700 RPMs. And this left propeller being at 700, that kind of makes sense because this whole flight only lasted a minute. So I believe when Captain Jerome Rennick feathered that propeller, he feathered it, and within the next couple of seconds, that plane was into the dirt, and that the propeller could not fully feather. And this is backed up by the examination when the propeller was first received by Hartzell Propellers. It's showing one blade was fully feathered, but the other two were just almost fully feathered. So that kind of makes sense. But then this guy, and this guy is amazing, he goes through and explains how, By reading the back of the needle, all of a sudden we can find out that the propeller was really at 2300 RPM, and that dirt and debris moved this needle, and that it really showed 2300 RPMs. And if I can quote, this is my favorite part in the NTSB report. Then this clown at the NTSB wrote down that aligning with the circular area on the screw head, the needle display was oriented about the 2300 RPM marking. That sounds amazing. In all my years of being an AMP and IA, I've never heard such gibberish stated as fact. In fact, I bet you that this guy, he was the one guy in school when we were growing up that told the teacher that the dog ate his homework. And he got away with it. So I absolutely love this guy. I think this clown at the NTSB deserves his $100,000 to $200,000 salary. But when you look further at this, you might look at that and go, wow, this is a lot of gibberish here that I don't understand, so this guy must be smarter than me. Well, wait a second. If we look at that statement of 2300 RPM, this is completely falsified because it just physically can't happen. If we look on the cockpit of the airplane, we can see that the propellers are redlined at 2000 RPM. This is the operating speed that they set for that propeller. Now, the primary governor won't let the pilot, even if he wanted to, will not let the pilot take that propeller past 2000 RPM. In order for those propellers to go any faster, the primary governor would have to fail, and then the overspeed governor would kick in. But the overspeed governor would keep that propeller around 2100 to 2200 RPM at most. So this just physically can't happen with the systems installed on that aircraft. So this is just completely falsified. The only true part in there is that the dial was showing 700 RPM when the plane impacted. This was just a deliberate falsification to mislead the readers. Now, when we look at Hartzell analysis and read the gibberish in there, I would like to just comment that this paragraph was not written by somebody that knows propellers. It's not credible, it's gibberish, and it's stupid. On the flight line for decades, I have heard the statement time and time again, hey, that looks like a bunch of monkeys screwing a football. Now, my guys, anybody working in a mechanic shop, anybody on the flight line, I'm sure we've all heard that statement 1,000 times. After reading Hartzell analysis and then reading this guy that told us what the instruments were reading, I would like to coin a new phrase that, hey guys, this looks like a bunch of retired airline pilots working at the NTSB screwing a propeller. I hope you can include that in your daily language out on the flight line. So now, going into just wrapping up this video, I would just like to state that on this accident, in the NTSB report, we see the facts, not the sleight of hand, not the misinformation, but from the facts that Captain Jerome Rennick took off. He lost that left engine. And he had every disadvantage he could possibly have. He was at max gross weight. His center of gravity was as far aft. It was in limits, but it was far aft as it could be. Then he lost the left engine, which is the critical engine on multi-engine planes. Then at an altitude of 400 feet, he identified that dead engine. He verified it was the left engine, and he feathered it, probably while his airspeed was dropping and the plane was going inverted on him. Captain Jerome Rennick did what he was trained to do. He fought for the lives of those 10 passengers in the back of his aircraft to the last second of his life. He did as he was trained, and he perished in the line of duty. Then, to see the NTSB, personnel and people that have never even met him, never even cared to know much about him, to falsify the report just to get a little bit of fame and to do something mean, which, when you work at the government, that's always fun to do. It's just too heartbreaking for me to go through this. And then to hear that they told Jerome's parents, his brother, and especially his little daughter, that he was a reckless man, and through his negligent and reckless behavior, killed 10 people. That's beyond the pale, my friends, especially when they knew it wasn't the case. I am very proud of my former student, Captain Jerome Rennick. I couldn't be prouder of him. The fact that he was not able to save that aircraft, to save those passengers, that's not on him. He was placed in an impossible position. I don't know of any other pilot that could have saved that aircraft. Not at that altitude, not under those conditions. So what are the corrective answers for this? Why write this article? Why do these articles? Because each and every one of us is in danger of the NTSB and the FAA. If things aren't changed and this is allowed to just go under the water and just ignored, each and every one of us as a pilot and mechanic, every time we fly, we can have an accident. Every time we do maintenance, that plane something can happen to it. And then despite our reputations, built over decades, over our whole lives, can be taken away and ruined like that. Would you like to know the reputation of Captain Jerome Rennick? He was in his early 40s, I believe 42 years old. He was a retired, successful investment banker, well educated with a university or college degree. Worked years being successful, making money. He was a devoted father. He lived a healthy lifestyle. He did not drink, he did not smoke, he didn't do drugs, no financial problems. He was flying that plane that day as a jump pilot for his love of aviation and just wanting to love to fly. That's who the NTSB would have you believe was this reckless monster out there just showing off in a plane and killed a bunch of people. As for myself, the bad CFI that the NTSB would believe that just training bad pilots and putting them out there to kill people, well, I'm a veteran, United States Marine Corps and then U.S. Coast Guard. In my teenage years, I received a life-saving commendation by the Redlands Police Department for saving a family out of a burning building. I spent 20 years of my life as a special agent with the Department of Defense and then as a special investigator with the FBI, safeguarding our classified information, our classified satellites, bombers, and then in the FBI doing the backgrounds and making sure that those people were doing their jobs and trying to cut down on the corruption and the internal affairs. So with this reputation, and then also I ran a flight school for 30 years. A flight school that students came to and they got a rating in a month or two. They got their private pilot license in a month to 2 months. Then they went on to get their instrument rating in a month to 2 months. And then get their multi-engine commercial, usually in about a month later, maybe another month. So they would have all their ratings and about 500 hours of flying time in 6 to 8 months, somewhere in there. That's a very successful flight school. In fact, in the next videos, you'll hear about Jerome's training and you'll find out it was top-notch and that the NTSB completely used misinformation to defame him and defame me. So with that in mind, how would your reputation hold up? Are you a successful businessman? Are you a lawyer? Are you a doctor? Are you even a police officer? Do you think that having a slight accident, or maybe an accident where you get killed, or you come down in a neighborhood and innocent people perish, would you like your reputation and your family be lied to about the type of person you are? A whole life's work gone in but a moment. This is what we're up against, gentlemen. And these people are monsters. They fed upon the corpse of Captain Jerome Rennick, a fallen aviator, perished in the line of duty. And then they fed on the 10 corpses of those skydivers who were just kids out having fun on vacation. They fed on these corpses for what? So that they could have fame and that they could get somebody. They could lie and laugh about it over lunch. These are not the actions of aviation professionals. These are actions of monsters. Now, in the upcoming article you'll see, and video, you'll see about the Riverside FSDO, who then assisted the NTSB in falsifying this report and coming after me. On the NTSB, I just wrote down, the flight patch just says there's somebody's full. But you know what? I would like the individuals that worked on this report at the NTSB, feel free, contact me. I will send you a flight patch of Riverside FSDO feeding on corpses, ghouls. Because you gentlemen and ladies have earned this patch as well, alongside the personnel at the Riverside FSDO. So with that, I'd like to just talk about what we're going to do about this. Because talking about it and getting everybody mad, what's the point of that? So for corrective actions, the first thing that I'm going to do is write an open letter to Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, and I'm going to request this gentleman, he's a parent now, I'm going to ask him to just look at the facts already found out and listed in the NTSB report. That Captain Jerome Rennick had an engine failure. He perished in the line of duty trying to save those 10 skydivers, and that the Department of Transportation issues a formal letter of apology to his parents, his brother, and especially his little daughter, who was told a mean-spirited and savage lie. I wish for that family to receive the justice and the honor that was earned by this aviator. Secondly, I want the Department of Transportation to apologize to those 10 families who lost a loved one. Can you imagine their anguish and their sorrow? And then to be directly lied to and told that they were killed by a reckless and negligent pilot when they knew it was to be false. I believe these 10 families need to be told the truth, that the pilot that day did everything he could to save them until the last second of his life. I think that's only fair, and that open letter will be going out to Pete Buttigieg. I pray that you will send me an email and that we can put together a list so that we can let him know that our aviation community is asking this of him. Secondly, what I plan to do is I plan to go to the aviation subcommittee, which is in charge of the Department of Transportation. They oversee the NTSB, they oversee the FAA. We cannot trust these two feral and lawless agencies to police themselves at all anymore. They have lost all morality and are now lawless and engaging in lies. So I'm going to ask the Aviation Subcommittee to start a congressional inquiry into these two agencies in this report. And believe me, this first article, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of other issues that we need to address in aviation to fix things. Thirdly, what I'd like to do is I'm extending another open letter to Hartzell Propellers. Hartzell Propellers has been caught in a lie that was told by NTSB, not them. However, when Les Dowd and his supervisor claimed that lie and stated that the Hartzell analysis is theirs, then they became complicit in a lie. I know Hartzell Propellers and their products. They have been on my airplanes for years. I have trusted my life and the life of my passengers to Hartzell Propellers for decades, and I have never seen one fail. The people that work at Hartzell Propellers, they are wonderful people. I love them dearly. And this is one of our iconic American aviation businesses. This lie put forth by the NTSB, it has caused so much anguish and pain to the families of Jerome Rennick, to the 10 families of the skydivers that were killed that day. They have personally destroyed my business and ruined my reputation. This lie is very destructive and dangerous. I pray that this lie is stopped before it causes any harm to Hartzell Propeller. But I cannot tell them what to do, and it is up to them. I can only comment that it is never too late to take right action. It is never too late to tell the truth. And I ask Hartzell Propellers to review their position and see if they want to continue to be complicit with this falsified report, or if they want to tell the truth. And whatever their decision is, so be it. Let the consequences be the consequences. With that being said, I would like to thank you for watching another, as one of my people told me, one of the pilots said, long-winded video. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And to help out, I would like to just tell you that doing this, telling the truth, and going up against the FAA and the NTSB on your behalf pays very poorly. In fact, I have finally found something that pays less than flight instruction. I didn't think that was possible, but I did it. So anyways, if you would like to help out, please send me an email, order any of these patches that I have, or any of the others, and just send in a donation. I'll send them out to you with an autographed copy of this article and the flight patch. And just for whatever donation that you can give me would be great. Also, if you'd like to support my efforts, please schedule me for your next flight review. If you can put together a group of 2 to 3, maybe more people, I can come out to your airport, do your flight reviews, and then I'd be more than welcome, and it'd be an honor to speak to your group about the problems and issues facing aviation, and more importantly, what we're going to do to fix these problems. Because right now I see no direction in a positive direction at all, and that's an understatement. So I look forward to hearing from you guys. Please let me know what you think. And once again, God bless. Keep flying speed. Peace.